So the live stream with Cryptic Studio CEO Phil Frazier was tonight or last night for by the time you're watching this, because this will be uploaded tomorrow. But yeah, that was tonight, and tonight he was on there to talk about just the general future of Cryptic Studios, Star Trek Online, Neverwinter, and Champions Online, because pretty much all of these properties are being moved over to another studio, DECA Games. Kind of old news by now. I mean, I haven't been covering it that closely just because, I mean, we haven't gotten a lot of official word as of yet until, you know, just now with this official live stream. But a number of the other content creators have been following this, so we know that, you know, Cryptic is basically going away at this point, or at least being reduced in some capacity, and the development of Star Trek Online as well as Cryptic's other two games is going to be taken over by DECA Games. This has generated a lot of concern about what this means for the future of Star Trek Online, so let's talk about what was talked about on the live stream and just kind of pick through what was said. The live stream went over things that covered all three games, as well as the general future of Cryptic as a whole, and really I'm just going to be focusing on the general Cryptic stuff as well as the more focused Star Trek Online stuff. You know, this isn't a Neverwinter or Champions Online channel, so I'm not really going to be focusing on either of those. So they started out the stream by showing off this this general overview of what to expect in the future. One of the main things they really wanted to stress was that they're not expecting there to be any major changes in the frequency in which content is released. So the general pace that Cryptic has been working at this point. So you know, we get you know, a regular season update like every several months or so. It usually consists of a new episode, a new TFO, and maybe a new feature, and you know, then you should get the same number of ship releases as well that we usually see. So basically, how Cryptic has been doing things over the past over the past few years, the goal is that DECA should be doing the same amount for all three games. But yeah, that seems to be one of the things that they wanted to stress about this, was that, you know, content should be flowing at the same usual rate that it's been at for the past few years. And, you know, one of the other things that they really wanted to stress was that, well, Phil Spencer, he works for Cryptic. He is the CEO of Cryptic Studios. He doesn't work for DECA. And so while all this talk is, the expectation is to keep things running as they have been, that could change in the future. It could change for the better. We could start seeing more content for Star Trek Online and possibly the other Cryptic MMOs, or it could get worse. That's generally the big takeaway I had about this, was that these are the expectations that we're hoping to see, but at the same time, it's really impossible to say what DECA is going to do, because they are a completely different company and they were not involved in this live stream. We haven't heard much from them, and that's been, you know, kind of the big concern about all of this. We have heard very little from DECA in how this is going to go and all that, and I'll touch on this a little bit later too, but hopefully we'll see more from them in the future, but for now, this is all we have to work on so far. Also on the live stream, Star Trek Online's executive producer Jared Fisher got to show off this roadmap of what's to come for Star Trek Online. Some of it we've already seen a bit of, because we're already a good portion of the way through March. PC, we've already seen the Tholi event go live, and we just had the Orion Devar go live. They did say that we, in the coming weeks, we've got a new MUDs bundle coming out, which is supposed to have 2 popular ships in the choice pack. No idea what that's going to be, and in my experience, Cryptic's idea of popular ships is probably a bit different than my opinion than popular ships, but you know what do I know? I'm just a guy who plays the game. Sorry, that probably sounded a little overly cynical, but yeah, we're getting a new MUDs bundle in the coming weeks. At least that's on PC. Console, you guys, the anniversary event just started for you guys, and the 14th anniversary bundle should be coming soon. I think the release date for console is the 28th, so that'll be there by next week. In April, we're going to see the return of the First Contact Day event, which, you know, is to be expected. We're also going to be getting another Infinity lockbox ship, which is a little surprising considering we just got the Devar and now we're getting another one. This one is going to be from Star Trek Beyond, which is kind of interesting because, well, there weren't a lot of ships from Star Trek Beyond. There was the Kelvin Enterprise. It had a different look in Star Trek Beyond than it did in the previous movies, but that model's already in the game. That's the legendary Kelvin Constitution. There's also the Franklin, very notable ship, but again, that's already a promo ship. Kale's words exactly in regards to the ship were, "It's the ship that you want from Beyond." And again, Kale's idea of ships that the ships that Kale wants are generally different from the ships that I want. I've found, because, well, we're two different people with two different opinions on certain things, so that tends to happen. So my guess is that it could be the swarm ship, the ultimate swarm ship, because they've teased this a little bit in the past, that they've been working on T6 ships that consist of swarms of smaller ships. So, you know, kind of like an evolution of the squadron hangar pets, but to the point of it's a T6 ship. Maybe they've finally gotten that tech to work, and that could be, we could be seeing the first example of that in this next lockbox ship. The only other ship I can really think of is the Kelvin Timeline Enterprise A, which we got to see in like the very last shot of the movie. Yeah, maybe, because, I mean, that would be kind of interesting, just because, I mean, there's very little attention on that ship. Everyone seems to kind of forget that that's a thing, largely because we only got to see a small portion of it, and at the same time, there was no follow-up movie to Star Trek Beyond, at least as of yet, so maybe it could be the Enterprise A. There's another Federation ship that someone called out. I forget the name of it. It started with an S. The Salcombe, that was it. But yeah, this, I know some people have brought up this ship saying it could be it, but at the same time, I really doubt it that this is going to be giving just Kale's remarks on it being the ship from Beyond that you want. I really doubt that he would say that about this. So yeah, I'm guessing either the Swarm ship or Kelvin Timeline Enterprise A. Console will also be getting the First Contact Day event at the same time. You know, that's one of those seasonal events that always run at the same time on PC and console. And along with that, on console, you guys will be getting the Orion Devar. So if you're into that, there you go. It's coming to console then. In May for PC, we've got a new Iconian event that's going to have a new reward. And initially, I thought this was going to be part of the event campaign, but we're also getting a new season then, too, which new seasons typically are their own events, which also have their own rewards. So, and those new season events, they're never part of the event campaign. They're always their own thing. Event campaigns are always consisted of what I like to call rerun events, where you go back and play existing TFOs in the game, whereas the new season updates usually have an event revolving around a new TFO and the new episode. They did confirm that a new episode is coming with this update, and in fact that there's going to be a new Star Trek alumni coming with this season. And in fact, this has actually been known for a little bit while now, because the alum themselves actually accidentally spoiled that early in an interview on some podcast. I forget which one, but yeah, I'm not going to spoil it here on the video just because, you know, story spoilers. I don't want to ruin that for anyone. But if you know, you know. We're also getting a new ship bundle, and it doesn't say here, but on the stream they did confirm that it is going to contain a Tier 6 Dyson ship. It's a bundle. I don't know if it's going to be a T6 Dyson ship and a completely different ship, or possibly different ships, or if it's going to be 3 individual different Dyson ships like the original ones were released. Honestly, I'm not super thrilled about that because, well, you guys know, I'm very public about the fact that I don't like the Dyson ships. I think they're very ugly ships. And Science Destroyers, I'm not a fan of those either. They are a stupid gimmick that is pointless in the game because of, you know, the whole mode switching thing is neat, but at the same time, without the ability to change your loadout while changing that mode, it's completely useless. So it's a useless gimmick with no practical use whatsoever, and the fact that Cryptic refuses to see that annoys the crap out of me. So yeah, those will be coming in May, and all of you who've been begging for T6 Dyson ships can finally shut up. That probably sounded meaner than I wanted it to. Screw it. The Dyson ships are hideous. And by then, for console, you guys will be getting the second part of the event campaign, which is the Tholing event that is currently happening on PC, as well as the new ship, which that should be the Star Trek Beyond ship that we'll be getting in April on PC. Yeah, now that I think about it, since we just got the Devar, they did say that this was going to be a Infinity Lockbox ship. I wonder if they meant Infinity Promo. Or I wonder if I just misheard them and thought they said Infinity Lockbox and just have been assuming that whole time, and when they maybe actually said Infinity Promo ship, because that does happen. I am kind of an idiot sometimes. I do apologize for that. But yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to release an Infinity Lockbox ship in March and then do another one in May. That's not consistent with how they do things. So this Star Trek Beyond ship is probably going to be an Infinity Promo ship, not Infinity Lockbox. Anyway, moving on to June. On PC, we'll have another new Muds bundle. No idea what's going to be in this one. They didn't give any hints on that one, which makes me believe that it's probably still in progress. They probably don't even know what's going to be finalized in that yet. So yeah, we'll know in June. But yeah, another new Muds bundle. Yay, the community loves those. And then for console, you guys will be getting the new season update that PC will have already gotten in May. So that should include, the new season, the new Iconian event, the new reward, as well as the new Dyson ships. And the last bit of the Star Trek Online portion of the live stream was just going into more detail about the new season update. Currently, they're just calling it Season 32. They do not have a full name finalized yet. Yeah, it's going to be coming to PC in May, coming to June, coming to console in June. It is going to be a continuation of the Kings and Queens story arc, which should be of no surprise there. That arc clearly isn't over, so we're going to be seeing more of that. More of that. It's going to be one new episode, one new TFO, which we got a little info on the TFO. It's going to be a sort of endless arena type TFO, kind of similar to Sompek Arena, so that could be interesting. It's a formula we haven't seen in a long time. They kind of, not since Sompek really, and Kobayashi Maru, and Kobayashi Maru even then still feels a bit different than Sompek. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And a new ship added. Okay, so they did say Infinity Lockboxes. I'm not crazy. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they would release an Infinity Lockbox ship back to back each month. So I don't know. I'm still not convinced that they didn't accidentally mean promo ship, and put Lockbox by mistake, because, they're both called Infinity. I imagine those get confused all the time, but yeah, I'm going to call that a little sus. I'm betting that's a promo ship. But yeah, that's going to be the Star Trek Beyond ship. And there's the aforementioned Iconian event, which, I don't know if the Iconian event... I still don't know if the Iconian event is still going to be part of the event campaign, or if it's going to be tied to the story mission, because I don't know how the Iconians fit into the Kings and Queens story arc, because it's been very focused on the Mirror Borg, unless they're going to be seeing a big twist in the storyline that gets the Iconians involved, which would certainly be interesting, because we've heard nothing from the Iconians since the end of the Iconian War arc. Actually, no, we did have that one episode in the Gamma arc with Quark's Lucky 7. We did see some Iconians there, but yeah, it would be really cool to see the Iconians make a return, but it could still be, they could be part of the event campaign that leads into season 32. I don't know, we'll see. They also teased that there is going to be a new feature added to the game that has not been done before. They didn't really want to give any details on that, but Kale did goad Jared Fisher into saying if he could sum up the new feature in one word, what would it be? And he said token. So it sounds like we're getting some kind of new token that unlocks something new on something. I'm really hoping that it's a token that will allow me to make a premium ship that I already own onto an account unlock. Just a token that you could buy, or maybe one that's won during certain events or something like that. But yeah, a token that you can use and apply it to a premium ship that you own. Like, see, I have the World Razor on one character. I can apply this token to it, and it will unlock on my whole account then. That would be really nice. This is something I have really wanted to see for a long time, and because the biggest frustration with Star Trek Online for me has always been that these premium ships have been single character unlocks for, ages now, and Muds Market has never been a good solution to this, because Muds Market takes time to update, and even then it's still very expensive, and it's bundled together like cable channel bundles. There's maybe like one in there that you want, but then there's like two others that are bundled in there that you don't really care about, but you gotta get the choice of all three just to get the one, and it's unbelievably frustrating. That said, I wouldn't hold my breath for the suggestion, just because it does sound a little too good to be true, in my opinion. It would be nice, but we'll see what it actually is. They didn't want to tease too much information about it, just because they still have to get it to work first, and they didn't want to make any super big promises. So yeah, the future will tell. And of course, the last part was the returning Star Trek alumni. Again, this has already been spoiled by said alumni in an interview on a podcast. I'm not going to go over it in the video, but if you know, you know. Following the roadmaps for Star Trek Online as well as Neverwinter and Champions Online, they had a little bit of a Q&A with Phil Frazier in regards to a number of things that are going to be happening with Cryptic and the games in general. So let's go over some of the points that were talked about there. So I had intended to steal a page out of Spencer's book and make a PowerPoint to go over the different points brought up in the discussion with Phil Frazier about the various points that he went over in the Q&A section of the live stream, and that PowerPoint doesn't exist anymore. It blew up. I don't know what happened. It doesn't exist anymore, and I'm really upset about that because I spent an hour on that thing. So I'm just going to steal a different page out of Spencer's book, and we're just going to go to the Reddit. Huge thank you to the Saju Kar for this write-up, so that really simplifies things. So this is kind of going over everything that was talked about in the Q&A. So one of the big takeaways is that DECA is continuing to hire more and more people to take over the roles from the Cryptic Studios folks. We already know that they've got a new community manager. Apparently that role has been filled. They have yet to announce who that community manager is, because we have yet to hear literally anything from DECA, from them about anything that's going to be happening here, which has been one of the big frustrations among us in the community. But yeah, hopefully that'll change in the near future, because we're kind of all really concerned about the future of the game, and it'd be nice to hear from the people taking over. But yeah, it is a good sign that Cryptic is continuing it. But yeah, it is a good sign that DECA is continuing to hire people to fill these roles. It's just a real shame that a bunch of people at Cryptic had to lose those roles in order for them to open up. Based on what was said, the conversations between with DECA and Cryptic started around November of 2023, so this has been in the works for a good while now, and their estimates were that this would be taking about a year, so things probably aren't going to be starting to settle until around the end of the year, or the end of 2024. It was made clear a few times, actually, that none of Cryptic's games are being sunset in this transition. It's just that DECA is going to be taking over the maintenance and development of the games, and that they should be continuing development at the same pace that they currently are. At least that's the plan for the foreseeable future. This was a point that I brought up. They did say that DECA is planning to maintain the relationships between maintain the relationships with Star Trek Online and the IP holders, Paramount and CBS, as well as the various Star Trek alumni actors that have been appearing in the game over the years. I feel like this is a very important thing, because Cryptic's gone a long way in developing those relationships. The relationships that they have with not just the people at Paramount, but also the actors who have appeared in the previous shows or even the current shows. So that's a big part of Star Trek Online, is getting all this synergy to work with various aspects of the franchise, because it's not just Star Trek Online doing this, because they have to talk with people at Paramount. I mean, that's how the Enterprise F and several of Star Trek Online's ships ended up in Star Trek Picard. It was the relationship that Cryptic and that people at Cryptic had built with the people at Paramount. So the fact that a bunch of the people at Cryptic are going to be gone now, it makes me wonder who is going to be taking over managing those relationships, and how is that going to be done? Because one of the things that Phil Frazier did say is that DECA is going to have to work to build up a relationship with Paramount, because like I said, the ships from Star Trek Online appearing in Star Trek Picard, that didn't just happen overnight. There was that happened after years and years of back and forth between Cryptic and Paramount. So it still does concern me that now we've got a bunch of these new people coming in. Now they're going to have to prove themselves, and are they going to be able to prove themselves that they are working for the best interests of the IP in the same way that the folks at Cryptic did? I know that sounds pessimistic, but again, we've had no communications from the people at DECA, so we have no idea what their dedication is to maintaining the level of quality we've seen in Star Trek Online. There are certain things that we kind of expect at this point, like because there's I'm spiraling here now, just because there's so much unknown going on right now, and we don't know what anything is going to look like now, and we don't know any of the new developers that are going to be coming in now. I know they've hired some people from Star Trek Infinite, but my big concern is we don't know what sort of passion for Star Trek that any of these new developers have. And I don't know, that's important to me in this sort of case, because like we know that the people on Star Trek Online from Cryptic, they've always had this big passion for Star Trek Online. It's in just Star Trek in general. That's one of the things that has made the game just what it is today, is that they've always cared very deeply about the IP, you know, and I'm worried that we're going to see the new people from DECA and they're not going to have the same appreciation that we've seen from those at Cryptic. Yeah, those are just the concerns I've been having, and it's frustrating that we haven't been able to get any kind of answer to that. And honestly, I don't expect anyone at Cryptic to be able to answer that. It's the thing that has been on my mind a lot with all of this, and it's scaring the crap out of me. Sorry. Anyway, back to the talking points. Actually, apparently Phil Frazier did say that one of the introductions between the DECA people and the people at Paramount, that's supposed to be happening like in the next week or so. Like Phil Frazier, he's going to be I think it's him or someone at Cryptic is going to be introducing a bunch of the DECA people to the people at Paramount. So yeah, that introduction is happening soon, apparently. So hopefully that goes well. But yeah, anyway, another thing that was brought up, there are no current plans to change the release schedules, either for new updates or just for general maintenance. Those schedules should be remaining about the same, because there was some concern because DECA is a European company. Their headquarters base is out in Berlin. There was concern that maybe the maintenance schedule might be thrown up in the air and be different than what it is now. But apparently, not only are the servers, they're still going to be here in the US, but the people who implement those patches, they're still going to be here in the US. So the maintenance schedule for both games, or for all three games, should be remaining about the same as it is now. The rest of this is just the upcoming content we saw in the roadmap that we already went over earlier. That's a spoiler. That is the spoiler of the upcoming alumni that is going to be in the next update that I didn't want to talk about. I'm going to have to edit that in the video. This is why I don't like using the Reddit for these things. Oh, one thing I should talk about, this got brought up on the live stream. Someone brought up the idea of porting Star Trek Online into another engine like Unreal, because whenever these type of discussions come up, someone always has to bring up this point, and it always has to be brought up about how insanely difficult it is to move a game, especially a game as big as Star Trek Online, over to another engine, and how, because people always seem to think that moving it to another engine is just this magical cure-all to make the game better. You know, they expect it to be on a new engine. They expect it to be just all the graphics will be better, and all, you know, a bunch of the bugs will be fixed, and a bunch of new features will be able to be used in the game. And that's not how it works. You know, you can move it to a new engine, but all that new content to utilize those aspects of the engine, they have to actually still make those parts. So that's, at that point, you're basically just making a new game. Cryptic. Phil Frazier even went on to say that in the past, Star Trek Cryptic has done a cost-benefit analysis on what it would take to move Star Trek Online to Unreal Engine, and he said it would take something like 3 years of effort and millions of dollars, close to like hundreds of millions of dollars. And yeah, it was not deemed worth it to them, because that's a lot of time and effort, obviously. He did also say DECA is planning on making their own cost-benefit analysis on what it would take to move Stowe into Unreal, and honestly, I really don't think DECA is going to come to a different conclusion that Cryptic did, because that's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money, and this is a 14-year-old MMO that we're talking about. It's nice that they're looking into it, it's nice to hear that, but at the same time, don't hold your breath on it, guys. Oh, another big thing that I'm sure plenty of you are wondering about. Someone did bring up wanted to ask, should they be concerned about their lifetime subs or any Zen they have piled up going away? And that was just a straight out no. You shouldn't be worried about your Zen going away. Your Zen will still be there even after the move. Your lifetime subs will be good for as long as the game is alive. So yeah, that shouldn't be a concern. One last thing I want to talk about is some remarks made by Phil Frazier, and well, let's just listen first.
As of recently, what's happening related to the transition, and as many of you have noticed, we've had a number of people that have been on these projects for some time that have decided to move on into other roles, and that's great. That is a total normal part of running a studio and running a business. Even before the DECA transition, we would have people leave these products and find other gigs. Just to tell a little bit of a story here, and the reason I think I'm so understanding and supportive of these moves. You know, I was involved in a major franchise at the top of my career. I worked in the sports side of the business, and I worked on one particular game for over a decade. And I really enjoyed my time working on that game for over a decade. But I'll tell you, as a game developer, as somebody that wants to make this a career, sticking on one product day in and day out, 12 months a year for a decade is great if you can find that kind of gig. But at the same time, my advice to game developers is to make sure you're diversifying your skill set, you're diversifying your knowledge, the types of engines you can work in, the types of products you can work on. And so the fact that people are taking within Cryptic are taking the information as to what's happening with DECA, and they're also making this choice to pursue other options, I actually think is fantastic. I think it's great for them.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I want to talk about, because this bugged the crap out of me. What Phil Frazier is effectively saying is that it's perfectly normal for game developers to move on from different studios, from different games to different studios, and, to move around the industry and whatnot to pursue other projects. It helps them grow, it helps them, learn new things, to learn new aspects of the industry, and to diversify their skill sets. And on the surface, yeah, this is great advice. This is a good thing. It helps people, be more valuable as employees and whatnot, to make themselves as valuable as possible for any game developer, because they have a increased skill set in comparison to, someone who hasn't done that kind of work. But the problem there is that while this can sound like a good thing, it's only really a good thing when it's that person's choice to do so. If someone wants to go out and pursue a new challenge, that's great for them. Good for them. Wish them the best luck. But that's not really the case of what's happening with the employees at Cryptic. They're not going out to pursue a new challenge. They're trying to find work because their jobs are being cut by the Embracer Group. That's who's moving Star Trek Online and all the other Cryptic games over to DECA, because DECA is going to be running these games for less money. And one of the ways that they are going to do that is by hiring on new developers that they can pay less. The way he worded it is that, Cryptic employees are using this information about the whole DECA merger to pursue new opportunities. But no, they heard that the people at DECA are taking their jobs and not hiring them because DECA doesn't want to pay them the money that they earn, the money that they are worth. So they're having to go out and find new jobs. That is an unbelievably crappy thing to say. And it's an unbelievably crappy thing to do. And the idea of trying to normalize that, the idea that, this is just what happens in the industry, really just demonstrates how little you care about these people. To me, it sounded like just the typical corporate mindset of big companies having no loyalty to their employees. They are just there to make as much money as they can and screw whoever's working for them. As soon as they become too expensive, boom, you're gone. And it sickens me, because these are people working on these games, and just because some idiot who's in charge of the whole thing made some really bad decisions and lost a bunch of money, he's not the one paying for it. It's all the people who work underneath him. They're the ones paying for it, because now they don't have jobs, because that idiot being the head of the Embracer Group, is I'm having trouble just getting this out clearly, just because it really makes me mad, because I hate this. I hate all of this, and it just, I don't know. I'm clearly letting my own personal feelings get involved with all of this, because I just, you know, I know some of the devs, not super personally, but I've met a few of them. I talk back and forth with a number of them online, and I've watched them develop this game over the years. Some of them have been there for a very long time. Like Thomas Maroney, for example, he's been in Star Trek Online for freaking years now, and it's just it sucks to think that the guy who helped get Star Trek Online ships into Star Trek Picard, Thomas Maroney, one of the big factors in getting the Enterprise F canon, could be losing his job just to something as stupid as this. And then Phil Frazier has the gall to say, well, this could be a good thing. Now you can move on to other projects and do other things, because some jerk over at Embracer doesn't feel like he's worth the money anymore. I hate that. Honestly, another thing I really hate is some of the reaction I've seen online from some people. The people who were saying, "Oh, well, maybe we'll get someone who can finally fix some of the bugs," or, "Oh, well, at least we're getting a new Kale out of the deal." Like, these are people. These are people who are very passionate about this game. They've worked really hard on it, and you make a bunch of assumptions based on what little you see on this side of the screen. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes in there, and clearly stuff's been crazy right now because a bunch of them are being kicked out because of this whole DECA thing. So yeah, it baffles me, both the assumptions that people just make based on what little they see from their own perspective, and just the sheer callousness of it all. The lack of empathy just, it drives me nuts, and I don't understand it. And now I'm spiraling again. Okay, you know what? Let's wrap this up. So yeah, that was my takeaway from this whole stream that happened, and yeah, we had a lot of news, and a lot of words were said, and we'll see what it all means in the future. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about all this in the comments down below. While you're out there, like, subscribe, and the usual outro crap. I'll see you guys next time.